After a fun evening of cheering on the Maryborough under-18s basketball team in their match against Bundaberg, the following morning our wonderful hosts took us into town to show us some of the sights. We started by stopping by Maryborough's impressive Queen's Park. The park is filled with sculptures and statues and features an impressive illustration of the Gallipoli landing, along with the story of Duncan Chapman and his role in the battle.
They were dropping shells every few seconds, and down to the beach. The Ninth has paid its share on that Sunday.
His statue stands nearby, clutching his faithful revolver in his right hand. But of course, we didn't come to Maryborough to go to the park.
Oh, amazing.
The first order of business in Maryborough was to visit a bank. Not just any bank, though. The Story Bank is a museum dedicated entirely to the beloved literary character Mary Poppins and her creator, author P.L. Travers. Travers was born Helen Lyndon Gough in Maryborough, Queensland, on August 9, 1899, in the top-floor apartment of the Australian Joint Stock Bank managed by her father, Travers Gough. Although the Goughs left Maryborough when Helen was only 2 years old, rumor has it that the town's lasting effect on Helen inspired many elements in her Mary Poppins series. For example, the character of Admiral Boom is supposedly based on the cannon firings that once occurred every day at 1 o'clock along the Mary River, signaling to Maryborough's dock workers and sailors that it was lunchtime. And the character of Mr. Banks is based on Helen's father, Travers Gough. Gough was a child at heart, a trait which endeared him to his equally imaginative daughter, but drew the ire of his employers. He died of pneumonia when Helen was 7, and in her later life, she adopted his name as her pen name. Admiring the displays of movie memorabilia, mementos, and fam art, it was heartwarming to see how the magic and whimsy of Mary Poppins has graced millions of people, young and old. Very few literary characters have had as far-reaching an influence as Mary Poppins.
After having a positively supercalifragilisticexpialidocious time at the wonderfully whimsical Story Bank, we started exploring Maryborough. Maryborough is a beautiful town, with quirky metal statues and sculptures on every street. There is street art everywhere, and Maryborough even has its own interesting history of bicycle use.
Once a bustling port town, Maryborough was home to several factories, shipyards, lumber yards, and a sugar mill. Hundreds of men were employed in these industries, so many, in fact, that driving to work wasn't feasible. Instead, the majority of these men rode their bicycles. At 5 p.m., a whistle would sound, signaling the end of the workday. The factory gates would open, and the streets would become a sea of bikes and men in navy blue, riding 5 abreast. Police gave the cyclists right of way, and anyone traveling against the flow of traffic would have to wait upwards of half an hour while the mob of workers passed by. Although most of the factories are gone now, and cars are now the preferred means of transportation, Maryborough still proudly boasts its history as the city of bicycles.
In the few days that we spent in Maryborough, we really fell in love with the town, and we decided right then that this wouldn't be the last time we would visit.
Alrighty, we are back on the Bruce. It's kind of hectic, and we're on our way to Childers, so I will fill you in when we get there.
Childers is a rural town surrounded by acres and acres of avocado and sugarcane farms. Because of this, backpackers looking to meet the 88-day farm work requirement for a second-year Australian working holiday visa gravitate to Childers, filling up the small town's long-stay motels, dongas, and hostels. As working holiday visa holders ourselves for the last 3 years, we can tell you that the culture isn't always friendly towards backpackers. Wage theft and exploitation are rampant, and, seeing as this is the second memorial to backpackers that we have come across, violence can be too. Sometime after midnight on June 23rd, 2000, a fire broke out at the Palace Hotel, a hostel that provided accommodation for international farm workers. Of the 85 backpackers staying in the hostel, 15 did not make it out. The victims were twins Kelly and Stacey Slark from Australia, Moulay Lalawi Kamal, dual citizen of Australia and Morocco, Mike Ernest Lewis, Adam John Rowland, Gary John Sutton, Melissa Jane Smith, and Claire Louise Webb, all from England. Natalie Morris and Sarah Ann Williams from Wales. Julie O'Keefe from Ireland. Jolie van der Walden and Sebastian Westerveld from the Netherlands. Hui Kyung Lee from Korea. Atushi Tayona from Japan. Robert Paul Long, an Australian itinerant worker who had recently been evicted from the hostel for antisocial behavior and non-payment of rent, was found guilty of arson and 2 counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison. The Palace Hotel was rebuilt and reopened as an art gallery and memorial in 2002. The centerpiece of the memorial is a group portrait of the victims entitled "Taking a Break in the Field," which depicts the 15 backpackers at rest together on a fruit farm.